After the Jets announced they would release Aaron Rodgers with a post-June 1 designation, a lot of fans all of a sudden believe, well, Alan Lazard won't be back on this team. Not so fast. The Jets have agreed on a restructured deal with Lazard, but let's not guarantee he will be on the roster for the 2025 season. Some fans like it, some fans dislike it. Well, our guest today is a huge fan of the move, and he'll break down why it is a solid move for Gang Green and the future of this organization moving forward. All that and much more right here, right now on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend, Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
What is going on, everyone? Hello, and welcome back here to another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, coming to you here on this Thursday, April 10th, 2025. I can't thank you all enough for tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on the show. The paid way helps us just as much. You can get into our membership raffle. Every membership gifted or $2.99 super chat will get you a ticket into our membership raffle. Prize we're giving away this month included Don Maynard signed photo, Joe Klecko signed helmet, Joe Namath Super Bowl III replica ring, a CJ Mosley signed jersey, a free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. So get in on that. If you haven't already, the more tickets you have, the better chance you have to win. Every $2.99 super chat or every gifted membership will get you a raffle entry. Appreciate all your support here on the show, as always. But joining me right now, normally joins us on Mondays, but he's coming to us here on the Thursday show. It's our guy, Nick Faria, my teammate over at JetsXFactor.com. Nick, I know it was a little impromptu. We couldn't do Monday, but happy to have you here on the show Thursday. And it's perfect timing given the fact today's the day the Jets restructure Alan Lazard. And I know you've been a big fan of that, potential, now official move all along.
Well, look, I'll sit there and say this. It's not like I'm banging the doldrums here and saying that Lazard is going to be the best wide receiver, too, that the Jets need to have. That's not what I'm saying. But I will say that the benefits of having him on the roster on a $4 million cap hit is significantly better than it was having him on an $11 million cap hit. I've got a column coming out on X Factor later, probably tomorrow morning, that dives into this. But if you look at the overall numbers from Alan Lazard this past season, in the 12 games that he played, his catch percentage was a 20% increase from 2023, which many will agree, and myself included, would say that it was a disaster for Alan Lazard that first year with the Jets. 20-point increase in catch percentage from 2023 to 2024. Then there's also the nugget that quarterbacks, when targeting Lazard in 2023, where passer rating was around 69% for a passer rating. In 2024, that passer rating improved to 109. So that's like a 40-point passer rating increase. And again, the drop rate, obviously a concern. A 10% drop rate is inexcusable, one of the worst in the NFL last season. And you understand essentially that you are getting a veteran wide receiver who struggles to maintain consistency when it comes to catching the football. But for $4 million, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, I think that's more than fair enough to keep on the roster, particularly with someone that is well respected in the locker room as well.
Here's what I'll say regarding that, Nick, and the statistical increase you mentioned there. And obviously, it's not a fair, comp to compare Aaron Rodgers, even which was a down season for him in 2024, compared to what, how Alan Lazard had to catch passes from Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, and Tim Boyle during the 2023 season. But my response and why I kind of don't want Alan Lazard to be on this team for the 2025 season is the fact that his numbers without Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback are god-awful.
Really bad.
And Aaron Rodgers is no longer on this football team. I mean, the whole, the drops is what annoys me most. Now, 2 years in a row, even when he had Aaron Rodgers last season, the drops were still a significant issue. I understand lowering the cap hit. I mean, the Jets, he took a steep pay cut for this team, an $8.5 million cap hit. The Jets are only guaranteeing him $1.75 million this season. Obviously, you kind of laid out why it's not the worst thing in the world that this team is, restructuring Lazard's deal. But this, spoiler alert, I have a column coming out for JetX soon that indicates this is my exact thought here. Do you think the Jets potentially restructuring Lazard here could indicate maybe the Jets are looking to shop him and now it's at a way lower price for teams looking to pick up his salary?
Absolutely. It's far more manageable to do if and when Aaron Rodgers becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler. They could use a third receiver, a fourth receiver to sort of kind of calm the receiver room, because you're going to have a big bravado guy in DK Metcalf. You already have a head case in George Pickens. You want a guy calm the room down. Lazard would be perfect for that if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. There are going to be other receiver needy teams that need a quality veteran as well. And again, I say quality. Quality does not mean that he is a top player. It does not mean that he's even a good player. Quality means, can he run a route? Can he catch a football? If it's yes on at least half of those, then he's a quality wide receiver in the NFL.
I'd say, one out of two there.
I'm not saying that the Jets, this is a no-brainer decision. What you've allowed yourself to do with this contract restructure, with this pay cut, is it allows and it gives you the benefit of the doubt to say we can do whatever we want, and we don't have to worry and do cap gymnastics for this guy if we wanted to cut him on an $11 million cap hit. Now we can trade him and only eat up about $3 million in dead cap space, or we can keep him on the roster and only pay him about $2 million in dead cap for the next couple of seasons afterwards. $2 million in dead cap nowadays in the NFL. That is pocket change for these organizations. So it really isn't that big of a deal. That's why this contract, this new negotiated deal is so important, because it allows the Jets the flexibility to do whatever they want. Even if they want to cut him, if they want to trade him, they want to keep him, all three options are now on the table.
We've kind of laid out all three of those options, Nick. Now, my question to you is, what do you still think the best course of action? I'll say this. Would you rather keep Allen Lazard on this team, on this current restructured deal, than let's say you get a 5th-round pick for him?
Yes. Well, if it's a fifth, I'd probably, send him off in a coach bus, say, hey, goodbye. But if it's for a 6th or a 7th, I don't think it's really worth it. Just keep him on the roster for a year. Allow him to help grow the receiver room in terms of maturity. I think, the people that I've talked to in the Jets organization, when I talked to players in the locker room last year, they were all very complimentary of Allen Lazard and the work that he did, the kind of leader that he was. It's just one of those things where you want those locker room guys. Okay, he's not a great receiver. Okay, he's not even a good receiver, but he's a good leader. And you need those kind of high character guys on a roster like this as you continue to get older and you try to build a culture that actually brings people together instead of pointing fingers.
I want to get into some of the draft topics, Nick. I mean, the Jets have been bringing in all these different prospects for local visits, as we even saw with Penn State safety Jalen Reed, but mostly a lot of these official top 30 visits, and teams tend to meet with a lot of prospects throughout this process. I mean, the Jets have met with guys ranging from all different rounds, whether it's, even the undrafted route. Like, they scheduled a top 30 visit with Cam Miller from NDSU, who's probably trending towards being more of an undrafted guy. And then we even saw Derek Harmon in the building today, who's projected to be an end of the 1st round guy. Is there any patterns that you're starting to notice with the guys the Jets are bringing in for top 30 visits? Is anything you think tipping their hand, or you still saying the same? You think they're pretty discreet with their draft plans?
They're being completely discreet with their draft plans. And honestly, I think as we get closer to draft day, I'm sensing a little more of a deja vu type of thing. Almost everyone that I talk to that covers this team pretty much agrees that this team is going to draft Armand Membu with the 7th overall pick. The expectation is, of course, that you look and say, okay, the Patriots are going to draft Will Campbell because they really like him. They want the experience, and Membu is going to fall to them, and the Jets have to choose between him or Tyler Warren. And last year, when the conversation was between Olu Fashanu and Brock Bowers, there was a contingent going into draft night that said maybe the Jets would actually consider taking the tight end at 10. It turns out that was a complete, fabrication. They loved Fashanu from the very beginning. They really wanted him on the roster. They were able to select him. I'm sensing that now where everyone kind of expects Membu, but there's a growing little tease of, they could take Tyler Warren. They could look at Ashton Genty. But at the end of the day, they need the right tackle. And I look at Membu as a high ceiling player that will solidify this offensive line in upside, basically, for years to come.
So I get where you are with Membu 1,000%. I want to pull up the mock draft that you released for Jets X Factor a few days ago, and you kind of teased your first two picks in articles over the past week or so. Your first two picks in the first and second round were Mason Taylor and obviously Armand Membu in the first round.
Everyone's having it. It's incredible. I know Antoine Daly's got it. I think Field Yates had that. It's just it's an easy pick right now because it solidifies the two biggest needs the Jets have on offense.
This is what I'll say, Nick, about Mason Taylor. My column came out today for JetX on the later round targets I'd want the Jets to go after. I didn't have Taylor in there just because I don't want to take Mason Taylor in the second round. He's a solid tight end in my eyes. I just don't think he's second round worthy. I want to kind of wait until the third or fourth round and get a guy like Harold Fannin Jr. in the building, who is one of my targets. Even you want to wait late Oronde Gadsden from Syracuse could be a productive receiving option for you, or even Gunnar Helm from Texas. I'm going to pull up the paragraph you kind of wrote here for Mason Taylor, but describe your fascination with Mason Taylor as a second round option for this.
I look at him like I looked at Zach Ertz when he was coming out of Stanford. The numbers for Ertz, particularly his last year with the Cardinals, was I think a little bit better overall. But he was also playing with one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time at that point. And I look at where the Jets are, and I want to see a tight end, kind of like the Dustin Keller mold, where you can sort of teach him to become a good blocker. But when it comes to route running, when it comes to the hands, you need a surefire guy. You need a guy who can get open over the middle of the field and make plays once he makes the catch. Taylor was able to do that at LSU. You look at some other tight ends that are obviously going to be in consideration. Elijah Arroyo is another player that the Jets could consider. I don't even think, though, that he'll be part of that conversation. To me,
too injury prone.
To me, I think this could very well come down to Mason Taylor or, and we talked about his name earlier today, that he had a visit today at Florham Park, Harmon from Oregon and Kenneth Grant from Michigan. There are a lot of mock drafts that have Kenneth Grant falling out of the first round. And it would not surprise me if he does fall out of the first round. He's a great run stuffer, needs to show a little bit more in his pass rushing reps. You look at a guy like Harmon, kind of the same thing, although he's a little bit lighter. These guys are first-round talents. No one's denying that. They should go in the first round. But last season, Cooper DeJean was a first-round can't-miss prospect, and he fell all the way to the 50th overall selection. The 41st overall selection, or wherever it was that Philadelphia traded up. There are players that are going to fall out of the first round simply because of how the board falls. There's a possibility on Thursday that there are 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe being the other two probably surprising ones that get back into the first round.
Milroe.
And if that were to happen, listen, there's a lot of conversations there. There's a reason why the NFL wanted to invite Milroe to the actual draft, part, if you will. That's not smoke and mirrors. That's clearly showing that there are teams that are going to want to draft him early in this draft, probably earlier than most people would at this point. So if that were to happen and Milroe and Dart go, that's 2 picks for potential defensive tackles that get pushed off into the second round. Now, does that mean they fall to the Jets at 42? Maybe not. Probably not. But if it gets to a point where Grant's available at 42 and Mason Taylor is as well, then the Jets are going to have to make another difficult decision because Grant would be an excellent fit for this team, as would Taylor.
100%. Now, one last pick I want to get into here. This is Nick's whole mock draft that could be found on jetsxfactor.com along with mine that came out a couple days before, Nick. This is the next pick I want to get into here. Kyle Williams in the third round. This is intriguing. Another guy the Jets held in Florham Park for a top 30 visit. I say it's intriguing because I wrote this up for the top 30 visit for Jets X Factor, and I was kind of looking at how fast he's risen. On January 1st, I think it was, on New Year's Day, he ranked 578th overall on mock draft databases, consensus big board. Now he's sitting at 100th overall. So he's someone who's been a fast riser throughout this process. And for me personally, I'm always a little concerned when someone rises that quickly up draft boards. Explain this Williams pick. Is it concerning that he has been a late riser in this draft process, but is really quickly risen up big boards?
You should never worry about quick risers like this. I think the best example, obviously, to talk about the Eagles, but Quinyon Mitchell last year. There was one point where Quinyon Mitchell was a second and third round pick, at least at the start of the process. And then he dominated the Senior Bowl, and everyone started talking about him. Oh, maybe it could be a second rounder. Maybe it's an early day 2 pick. And then by the combine, by the time pro day workouts came in, everyone was talking about Quinyon Mitchell, not just being one of the better defensive players in this class, but arguably the best defensive player overall. So these high risers, they happen every year. And it turns out that some of them, as with any draft, there's hits and misses. High risers play really, really well. Others not so well. Look at Roman Wilson last year. He was a high riser as well, really struggled from Pittsburgh in his rookie season. No one really knows what his career is going to look like. I'm not saying that Tyler Williams this kid's going to be great, but in the third round, you want a guy that can contribute right away. And he's certainly a player that you can trust right away to contribute.
I get that 1,000%. So Kyle Williams in the third round in Nick's mock draft. Like I said, that could be found on jetsxfactor.com. Another draft topic I want to get into you with here, Nick, is the possibility of Abdul Carter falling after this foot injury. I mean, we saw, I wrote this up for JetX, the Nate Tyson, Charles McDonald mock draft that had the Jets selecting Carter with the number 7 overall pick. And I'm going to pull up that article here in a quick second. And it was very, very surprising for me at first, Nick, because I mean, this is someone who's widely regarded as not only the best defensive player in this year's draft, but on a lot of people's boards, the number 1 overall player in this year's draft class. So here it is, the article I wrote for Jet X Factor with the top 10 selections from Nate Tyson, Charles McDonald's mock draft. Ward to the Titans. Pretty much it's just going to be a formality on draft night. Hunter to the Browns makes sense. Sanders to the Giants makes sense. Membu to the Pats makes sense. Graham to the Jaguars makes sense. Genty to the Raiders makes sense. So, Nick, it sounds a lot crazy to a lot of people at first, but you're looking at the scenario. I don't think this is going to happen. I think Abdul Carter, if he's still available comes the number 4 overall pick, I think he's going to be a New England Patriot. But, I mean, looking at it, there aren't too many huge surprises ahead of the Jets here. If you had to put a percent on it, what is the chance Abdul Carter is available when the Jets pick with the number 7 overall?
2%.
Wow.
I would be stunned. That would probably be one of the bigger draft surprises that I have ever seen in my 10 years of covering the NFL, even dating back to college. But when Jalen Carter fell to 9th overall back in the 2023 draft, there was a reason for it. And there were legitimate off-field concerns surrounding the Georgia star. Turns out that he got the ship right. Philadelphia put him in a very good situation. But the off-field concerns were real. And when a player has off-field concerns, that's when they tend to fall. Injuries, like a certain, issue that Abdul Carter is dealing with, jokes aside of how badly I would love to see him fall to 32, it's not going to happen. First off, he's not getting past the Patriots. Let's put that right there.
That's what I was going to say.
If he falls to New England at 4, Mike Vrabel is going to sprint out and run that. He's going to run from Foxborough all the way to Green Bay like a flash and make sure that Carter's there and ready to go. It's not going to – listen, the excitement's there. Maybe if the Jets want to trade up for him, I get it. Great edge rusher, one of the better defensive players that we have seen in the last few years coming out of the draft. But another example of players that have fallen, Micah Parsons. He was the 11th, 12th overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft. He didn't fall for injury reasons. He fell because of off-field concerns. There were a lot of issues surrounding Micah Parsons. Injuries, though, not the big thing. Jalen Waddle had some problems. Penny Sewell had some problems. Those guys were top 10 picks. Carter is going in the top 4. I truly believe that he'll be a Giant, but if he's not, he will be a Patriot.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I mean, looking at the picks there wasn't like a Jalen Milroe in the top 6, for example, where you could I think Tyson McDonald did a great job of trying to sell it, this could actually be somewhat of a possibility. But I mean, all fans know that Abdul Carter is not going to be available
Listen,
when
if
the
he
Jets
falls
select.
to 7, and I have been on the forefront leading the brigade of you don't take the tight end, you go with the offensive lineman, you take Membu and solidify it. That goes completely out the window for 2 players in this draft: Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. That is it. That's it.
For sure.
If one of those 2 falls to 7, you run to the table and you make that pick because they are the 2 best players in this class.
1000%. Now, Nick, I know you wrote an article the other day for JetX, kind of detailing why the Jets shouldn't really give up on Breece Hall yet. I know after the whole meme he put out on Twitter after all the trade rumors, we know where you stand on Breece Hall. Are there any teams, though, let's say the Jets decided to go out and shop Hall, are there any teams that catch your mind right away as a potential suitor?
Oh, you got to look at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are in desperate need of a quality runner like this. And the reason why I continuously push the Jets, or at least make the opinion that the Jets should not move on from Breece Hall, is the very simple fact that in his rookie year, particularly at the beginning of his rookie year, he was splitting carries with Michael Carter. Now, he gradually got more and more carries as the season progressed. But if you put him in a running back by committee approach, it keeps him fresh for the entire game. You're no longer giving him 20 to 25 touches overall. You're giving him 10 to 15, and that will increase his efficiency, particularly if you are drafting a young offensive tackle with the 7th overall pick. Armand Membu, as we all expect, will be the Jets pick at 7. If he's the pick, though, what he does is he opens up the longevity, not just for Justin Fields, but for Breece Hall's career as well.
So, Nick, the team that caught my mind right away, and I put it in my mock draft, because my mock was the scenario of you trade Breece, you take Genty at 7, and for those listening, I've discussed that topic many, many times.
Yeah, never running back in the top 10.
Nick, we know your positional approach. We know your positional approach. You got to solidify the trenches. We know that for sure. So I thought of the Denver Broncos right away as an immediate suitor, given the fact losing Javonte Williams in free agency, the connection, Aaron Glenn, Sean Payton, Darren Muji, obviously hailing from that organization. So then I was thinking about that was the mock draft. So I was thinking about writing a second article, kind of listing some suitors. So I reached out to a Broncos insider who covers the team very, very closely about if the Broncos would be interested in Hall. And I thought it was going to be a surefire 1000%. But here's what I have from the Broncos insider Benjamin Albright. Said, I think he would be a very, very solid fit for the offense. I just don't believe the Broncos would be giving up draft assets to bring out a guy they're going to have to pay very, very quickly. Why would they do that when they could just draft a guy and have 4 years of him under contract on his rookie deal? I think that's the main concern right now, Nick, and I think that's why it's being floated around as, if you're going to trade him, I mean, what are you going to get back, a 4th round pick? Like I said, I've been open to trading Breece if you get the right return. Like I think a 3rd and a 6th round pick for Breece, I would not hate that in what I consider a very, very strong running back draft class. If the Jets were to go out on the market, what do you think they could realistically get in return for Hall?
4th or a 5th running back final year. And again, if he was coming off 1,000-yard season where he put up 700 yards receiving, and it was kind of like that 2023 year where he was 4th in the league in total yards, per game, total yards from scrimmage, then you have a plan, you have a path to getting a 3rd round pick, maybe even a 2nd round pick as well. But he's coming off a bad year where he fumbled a lot, dropped passes, wasn't really good blocking and pass protection. And again, there's a lot of issues there. He's coming into a contract year. There is no incentive for teams to make that kind of deal right now with how poorly he played. If they get to a point this season where he's playing well to start the year and the Jets really aren't in title contention, then I absolutely see him being a deadline move if they try to pick up a draft pick. But not right now. There's just no market for him to this point.
I saw a proposal from Bleacher Report that was interesting. It was DeAndre Swift and a 3rd round pick for Breece. Would you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, why would the Bears do that? They're going to have
Exactly.
overall picks. I mean, there's a chance that they trade up with the Raiders and they take Gentry. Now, everyone that I have talked to around the league all says, yeah, Carroll's going Gentry, and he's gonna love that pick right from the very beginning. Everyone is mocking the Raiders will get Gentry. But again, the Bears are another one. They could take the kid from North Carolina and just move on from
Ryan Hampton. Yeah, I for sure. And the thing with DeAndre Swift is the question becomes, like, when it comes to is Swift going to be on the roster, him being tossed around in the trade rumors. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Ben Johnson was just hired there, and he was a part of the team that traded away DeAndre Swift in 2022. And I was looking at his numbers earlier today when I saw that proposal. Like, solid 2024 season with the Bears. It was just not nearly as close to what he eclipsed with your Philadelphia Eagles during the 2023 season. Like, if you're telling me you get 2023 DeAndre Swift and a third-round pick for Breece Hall, I'd be all in on that offer.
Well, there was a reason why also that Philadelphia let Swift walk that free agency, because they looked at Saquon and said, DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley. Which one be good? They kind of made the right decision there, I would say. But it just comes back to overall value of a certain player. DeAndre Swift is more of a third down running back. He's a very good receiver, really good on big playability. But is he a guy that you can trust in between the tackles? And the answer to that is no. I think Breece Hall can become that. He's a little bit bigger than Swift, but there are some issues with him as well. And if there's no market, then why are you trying to create one? Let the market come to you. Let Breece Hall try to work it out. See how well he plays early in the season. And like I said, if the Jets are 3-5, 3-6, they're not going to be competing for a championship that year. Then you ship them off for a second or third round pick, and you go on and you add those assets for next year's draft, which is said to be a lot more talented than this upcoming draft.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Nick and Connor here with you guys on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Going to wrap up here soon, so appreciate you all tuning in here on this show. Nick, can't thank you enough. I know we couldn't do Monday, but super happy we were able to make it work here on this Thursday show. You got any final thoughts here before we wrap up the show?
2 weeks away, and my phrase of always focus on the trenches continues to be the focus. Offensive line, defensive line, receiver, corner, quarterback. You get those 5 positions right, you're going to be competing for a championship. The Jets have a few of those pieces. They need just a couple more to be a true contender.
Nick, we know you only do one mock draft a year. Why is that?
Yeah, so I do a team mock, and then I do a full round one mock. And part of it is part of me is the fact that because I also write for Athlon Sports, I essentially have to write an article on whenever someone puts out a mock draft, and I'm just so sick of mock 5.0, mock 4.0, and all these other things. One for the team you cover, one for the full first round. That's going to come out next week, and that is it. No more, no less. You get the basic package. I truly believe that everyone should wait until April to give out their mock draft. One that puts a mock draft out in March, I think, is just beyond moronic, but that's just me.
I love the in-season ones, Nick. It's like week 1 of the season, Jets set to target 2028 tight end who's currently in middle school now.
Leave me alone, man. Leave me alone. I focus on the season.
Nick, we appreciate it as always, everyone. Thank you guys for watching. That'll do it for us. He's Nick. I am Connor, and that's all here on NY Flight Jets Talk. JETS, 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 Jets.